Looking forward to this week's game with Florida. It'll be another great challenge, as we all know. Very solid team on all phases. Been very familiar with Florida. Having played them the past 3 years and known quite a few players on their team. Very good team, very well coached in all phases of the game. Very physical team, so we'll have a real challenge ahead of us this week.
Mark, is there much different about the Florida team you see on tape through 3 games and the one you prepared for at the end of last?
Not too much, really. They want to be physical. They're very good defensively, as good as maybe anybody will play this year. So very, very good, very talented, very physical defensively. Offensively, the same thing. They want to control the football, keep the time of possession, and be physical in their run game, and again take their shots off of that.
How much, if any, does it change your prep with the quarterback change?
A little bit, not a whole bunch. I think both guys can run the ball a little bit when they want to. Certainly Murphy showed some athleticism and some speed, and I'm sure they'll want to use him from time to time.
Coach, how did this off week work out for you? Not that you have any say about it, but how did it work out for you? Visa health and all this?
Yeah, I thought it was good. We are, like most people, a little bit banged up, so it was good for us. We needed the time just to work on ourselves to continue to get better. So fundamentally, we had some good hard work last week and used the weekend to heal up a little bit.
Mark, when you talk about Florida maybe as good because of how you fly, kind of why is that in particular that kind of jumps out at you?
They're front four. I mean, they're very disruptive, very dominant up front, and their secondary is fabulous. I mean, they cover the heck out of you. They're very good players in the secondary. I've known quite a few of those guys for some time. Very good. Very, they're 3 corners basically that they play with. Have been playing for a long time, and of course with Hargraves coming in is a great talent, but very, very talented in the secondary and very disruptive up front.
What do you take away from their game with Tennessee? There was such an ugly game and kind of discombobulated first half. There was no feel to that game.
Well, the only thing I take away from it is something that's very obvious: is you can't turn the ball over against the Gators. I mean, they are they feast on that. Again, they're very good and very disruptive defensively, but you can't turn it over. You got to be very smart and very conscious of the ball.
Coach, did you encourage your guys to watch that game on their off day?
That was up to them. I didn't encourage them, if they wanted to. I'm sure most guys tuned in.
I think this game will have a little extra emotion for your players, knowing that their former coach is coming back in here. Will you address that at all in any way?
I wouldn't think. I don't know. I wouldn't think that would give any extra motivation for us. I think we ought to be pretty motivated as it is to prepare to play a very good football team.
Worry about the emotion of it, though. Seeing an old face on the sideline.
I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think. No, I think most people around here have good feelings about Coach Phillips and the work that he's done in Kentucky. He's a very good person and a good coach, and so I don't think that'll have any bearing on the game.
Coach Avery Williams leading the SEC in tackles. When we talk about his play.
Yeah, that's good to see. He's a very good player. He's been playing solid all year. He's been a very good leader for us, so I've been proud of him and the way he's playing, and it's nice to see him up there in tackles. I guess, we got to get some other guys making some more tackles around him, but he's doing a very good job.
That becomes a leadership thing, though.
Yeah.
Once you're doing that to help these other people.
Absolutely, and I think when you look at Avery, you look at how he goes about his work. He's always very serious about what he does. He works extremely hard every day, pays attention in the meetings, is always there. He's been very solid since we've been here, and for a long time. I just really appreciate the work that he's doing.
Segueing on the linebacker situation, I know Josh Forrest is on the depth chart now.
Yeah, it depends. As you saw in the last game, we played with Bud standing up, And so if you really want to get specific, it depends on the packages that we're in. Jason Hatcher and Bud were in there as well when we were doing some of the odd stuff and trying to get a little bit bigger and give them some new wrinkles and some new things. We'll continue to build on that package. So it all depends on the front that we're in and what we're doing there. So when Bud's playing defensive end, then Josh will be the Sam.
Where did you see any,
And that wasn't a whole heck of a lot of snaps in that package in the last game.
where did
A
you,
handful.
but Coach, where do you see some kind of growth in any specific areas?
With us. I think just with the overall preparation and just feeling more comfortable with the defense, certainly, and offensively the same thing. Just getting familiar with what we're doing. On offense, you know it, and I know it. It comes down to execution, a lot of times, and the same thing defensively. But I see our awareness getting better defensively, and that led us to play a little more aggressive the last time we played, and hopefully we'll continue to build on that.
Josh, you said Josh would obviously be out
Mhm.
if you need a Sam. Is that more an injury thing with Corey, or has he just passed him on the?
Yeah, Corey was out for some time. He's back now and trying to work his way back on the field.
Is Max still on pace for where you thought he would be?
Yeah, from what I understand, with the rehab over the weekend, we'll see this afternoon. He's planning on practicing this afternoon, so we'll see where he's at. So hopefully he'll be on point.
Does the practicing mean throwing full reps?
Pardon me?
Does it mean?
Yeah, he's going to practice. Well, he'll be on a pitch count. I mean, we'll keep an eye on how many throws he's making. Maybe just to let him ease back into it here a day or so.
Do you have to add any stress on defense, high points or focal points when you're going up against kind of a read option running kind of quarterback? Well,
Yeah, there's certainly some things that you have to look at when you're doing that. Yeah, absolutely. And they always, that's why it's a big deal in the NFL all the way down to college. That it gets to be a numbers issue with how many guys you're committing one way or the other. When the quarterback can run the ball, it's an added dimension. With them, they're quite physical when they want to be as well. So when they get under center, it's a lot of downhill running. They're not getting away from that. I know Will and how tough he wants to be and how tough his team is on offense and on defense. So they're going to get under center and they're going to run the ball downhill as well.
Mark, you have Sanders at camp listed code number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Is that more what Kemp has done?
Yeah.
Elevate himself with what Sanders hadn't done?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just JoJo getting them touches, getting them on the field, and some meaningful reps.
Can you tell me just what Sanders has played this year for you?
Yeah, I mean, Ray's doing a good job. I mean, he's a good player, and he's got to continue to work and make big plays for us.
You mentioned run defense. Dante is a big part of that. Do you have any injury updates on him? Do you know about him?
I feel good. I feel fine. I mean, again, I'm not. I'll tell you if I feel like anybody's out for this week, and other than that, we should be good.
Let's just talk about Hatcher. Can you talk a little bit more about his skill set and what has enabled him to work his way into the rotation and earn your confidence?
Yeah, we just feel like he is one of the better football players, and we need to get him on the field. We talked about it going all the way back, some of how this season has progressed and going back to an injury early in the year and us not having the bodies at certain positions that we needed to. We need to get bigger, in this league. As we move forward, when you're playing the teams that we're set to play here, and when they're in big sets, we need to be bigger, and so that's what we're looking at with getting Jason on the field, and he has the ability to play with his hand in the dirt, and he also has the ability to play standing up.
What have you seen out of him specifically, how he's grown in the last few games?
Well, I think Jason's always been that way. We knew since we recruited him that he's a guy that loves to play football. He's very explosive. He's big. He's fast. He's inexperienced, and that's going to show from time to time. But I love his work ethic. I love his attitude and his toughness, and he's going to be a very good football player.
Coach, you guys are the only team in the SEC that hasn't recorded an interception yet this year. Do you think that might be a little misleading, and that your defense or your secondary is actually better than what people might think it might be?
Well, it's disappointing. I think we need to come up, when we have the opportunities, we need to come up with the catches. I think, we had one bounce right off our chest in the last outing, and, that can't happen. I mean, you got to catch the ball, especially against the quality opponents. When you get an opportunity, you got to make the most of it. So we do need to do a better job of creating turnovers and getting some interceptions. But, with that being said, I think we're doing some better things back there.
Mark, it seems like Kentucky's head coaches approach these losing streak games from just about every perspective. Where do you fall on that spectrum of making it a big deal to end those streaks and as opposed to treating it like another game?
We can't, you've heard me talk enough, that we won't get all into all that, I mean, sure. I mean, I think it's motivation. I do. I think it needs to be talked about, but that can't be the focal point. We have to get better each and every day, each and every game, and that's really what we're worried about, and that's been my message since I've been here, is just to get better.
You're focused on this game. Have you talked to them, or what have you said to them about this upcoming stretch with Florida, South Carolina, and Alabama?
We haven't talked about the stretch, other than what our plan was in the off week. Let's, talking about getting better, get back healthy, and then going through a 3-game stretch after that. We didn't talk about the opponents, so we can't worry about that. We've got to worry about Florida this week and getting better, and we need to, we talked about it, but it's the truth. I mean, we just need to get better. The last time we stepped on the field, we got better in certain areas. Let's hope we get better in all areas with this next game.
Mark, are you satisfied with the way your tight ends have played?
Yeah, I think they've done a nice job. It's there's always an issue trying to find a balance with what we're going to do and what we can do, what we can do successfully. And so that we're still working our way through this, offensively, defensively, special teams, what we're best at, what our players can handle, and what we can execute. And so overall, I think they've done a nice job.
Are you comfortable with how the defense is picking up these added wrinkles every week?
I am. I thought we did some better things. I thought they executed it very well. I think they're preparing the right way. And so we need to continue to do that to give us an opportunity.
You talked about trying to get Jalen started faster, and he talked last week about, just said that like before he goes onto the field, he's so amped up, he wishes he could play defense and hit somebody and get that out of him. How do you, have you ever had a player like that, and do you know how you manage a guy that gets too into it before he runs on?
Not on the offensive side of the ball. I haven't had that. So I haven't had to worry about that. So that it is something to think about and how we handle him. I got to get on our psychology team there. So, but no, we need to get him off to a fast start. He's once he settles down, he gets into the game. He makes some very good throws at times, and has the proper reads and all that. So we just got to make sure we get him settled down and get him off to a fast start. Defensively, that's usually a good thing if they're all amped up and ready to go. So, yeah.
Mark, pursuing this now, how much did the fact that they were coaching against the
It definitely came into play. I just feel like the league is so strong and it's getting stronger. So that's good and bad. I think we're getting better, and I think the whole league's getting better.
Some of the players talk about playing the noon game rather than the 7 o'clock game. You have to sit around that much longer. What's that do to a coaching staff? You think that's still kind of finding its way in a new position?
I hope the excitement in our stadium for a 7 o'clock kick, will offset any of that where you sit around all day and get a little bit anxious. So I just walked in and heard Tony talk about the South Carolina. I didn't know that was 7:30 till just now. So it's certainly on the road. That makes for a long trip, getting back about 4 in the morning. But playing at home in our stadium here this week at 7 o'clock, I think I'm excited about it.
Coach, you watch games like Alabama and A&M a couple weeks ago, all those points that are put up. Do you feel that defenses are at a disadvantage the way the game is played nowadays?
It's certainly difficult. It is. I think, with the tempo and with the way offenses are very creative, they're very smart in the way they attack you. They're not into banging their head on the wall. as much as they maybe used to be. If you're giving them something outside, or they're taking all the free yards, and that's where we need to be better offensively. We talked about it. The plays there, the routine plays, we need to execute. When they're there, and getting the proper calls and getting the ball to the person and getting upfield and getting the yards when they're there. And I think when you look at this week, that's going to be a real challenge because they're overwhelming at times. Florida, they could get in your face and not give you anything easy. So it'll be a real challenge this week.
Anyone else? Very good.
All right.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.